Jayson Tatum has one last wow moment for the regular season. The Boston Celtics are the second seed. That's totally fine. And let's appreciate exactly what Ime Udoka accomplished this season right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Be ever ready. Recognize the city of champs. Boston, baby, we do what you can't. Locked on number 18, Tatum and Brown, J-team, step back. We gon' wet that and slay teams. Of course, the Celtics, who else could it be? Screaming like KG with the Larry O.B. Karalis above average, assessing the team status. Best daily pod, no cap, salary matching. Clutch like Bird the DJ, keep John on replay. Prime time, dapping up the truth on the sideline. Raining J's, how it started, raising banners, how we finished. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners. B.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast. Thank you for making the show part of your daily routine, your first listen every day. It's a free podcast, Monday through Friday. Wherever you get your podcasts, it's great. You can also get the show on YouTube. We're right there. We're about a couple dozen away from 5,000 subscribers on YouTube. We love our round numbers, so hoping to get to 5,000 soon. We might get there today. So I'm going to count that. My goal was by the end of the season. This is still kind of sort of the end of the season. So close enough. Ball was in the air before the buzzer went off as far as I'm concerned. I'm John Karalis. I cover the Celtics for Boston Sports Journal. I've written a book called Boston Celtics All-Time All-Stars, which I do not have handy. I was going to put it up here. But if you're watching my YouTube page, it's right here behind me. And I was one of the media voters for the Boston Celtics 75th anniversary team. All right, Celtics beat the Memphis Grizzlies in air quotes, 139-110 to finish the season at 51-31. Good for the second seed in the Eastern Conference. Three teams finish at 51-31. Boston, Milwaukee, and the 76ers. By the way, today's show is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline is where the game starts. The Celtics had the tiebreaker over Milwaukee based on, you had to go down to like 4 or 5 different tiebreakers. Got down to record against Eastern Conference playoff eligible teams. Celtics had a better record against the better teams. So Milwaukee drops. The Celtics had the head-to-head over Philadelphia, so they dropped to 4. So now your matchups are Boston and play-in winner Brooklyn or Cleveland. Milwaukee plays the 6th seed Chicago Bulls. Philadelphia plays the 5th seed Toronto Raptors. Toronto Raptors are in Canada. Canada does not allow unvaccinated people into the country, and Matisse Thybulle is unvaccinated, and he remains unvaccinated, and he won't be for the playoffs. So the Sixers go into that series without Matisse Thybulle. He's a very important player for them, and the Sixers are, they need him. They're not exactly capable of overcoming a lot of losses on that team. Their supporting cast is thin, so who knows how that's going to go? What if the Cleveland Cavaliers win the play-in game? What if the Cleveland Cavaliers win this play-in game? Think about this. I mean, I'll get into a whole lot more of the Brooklyn, all of that stuff in the second segment. In the third segment, we'll appreciate what Ime Udoka has done this season. But what if, just throwing it out there, I know Brooklyn will be favored and all of that, but what if, because we've seen Brooklyn stumble before, and they know they've got 2 games to win 1. So what if they want Miami? What if they are choosing their opponent and they think, oh, we can defend Miami better and whatever. I don't know. It's a stupid thing to say, but stupid things happen in the NBA. Maybe they're choosing their opponent. What if Cleveland wins? What if Milwaukee dropped to 3rd in an effort to get away from Brooklyn, and suddenly they lose home court against the Boston Celtics in the second round? What if Philly willingly dropped to fourth, and instead of playing the Cleveland Cavaliers in the first round, they have to go to Toronto and now not play with Matisse Thybulle? So I don't know. The Celtics made their decision. I support their decision. I get that again. Get to that in the second segment. The basketball gods, it would be nice if the basketball gods smiled on what I think is the right decision. And the right decision was to play against the Memphis Grizzlies, who sat everybody. I mean, just about everybody. Kyle Anderson was the only one who really got some extra run. By the way, there's no more appropriate nickname in the NBA than Slow-Mo. I mean, that dude seriously looked like he was moving at half speed. But the Celtics came out strong. They built their lead. They couldn't get it past 12 for a little while. And then Jayson Tatum, the game was at 11 with 2:48 to go. Jayson Tatum then scores 10 points out of a 17-5 run, including a 4-point play where he gets trucked after hitting a 3-pointer. And he's like up with his arms around his knees. He's looking at somebody in the stands. He's just like, wow. He was chattering at somebody in the stands, and apparently he went afterwards and dapped the guy up or whatever. But somebody was saying something, and Tatum responded. Tatum had the most efficient game of his season. 11 of 14 shooting, 6 of 8 from 3 of 3 from the line, 31 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal. Some turnovers there in the third quarter. Basically, in the third quarter, I think both sides came out and were like, all right, we're going to shift this down to all-star speed. And both teams were like, yeah, okay, 75% speed. Third quarter, fourth quarter was whatever. That almost 3-minute stretch of Tatum going berserk was enough for Memphis to be like, yeah, we're cool. We don't care. The loss doesn't matter. So they coasted. That's the bottom line. They coasted. That's all there is to say in this game. You don't really need to say anything else. Horford was good. Daniel Tice has been good. Jaylen Brown, 8 of 16. Not bad. Good game. Everybody had a decent game. Like to see Grant Williams get that shooting touch back, but whatever. Shout out to Peyton Pritchard for offensive rebounding. Shout out to Luke Cornett getting in there and catching lobs. Shout out to Malik Fitz for a dunk that made a lot of us think, when did they sign Javonte Green again? So shout out to him. Matt Ryan getting a basket. Everybody got a basket. It was great. Broderick Thomas for having the audacity to try a vicious dunk. And how about Taylor Jenkins calling for a review with like 48 seconds left to go in a blowout? He called for a challenge. I mean, I guess the real answer there is you always got to have your team's back. And if you're asking these guys to try to run through a wall for you, then you got to do the same for them. And he won the challenge. And that dude gets a block. And so good for them. Good for them, I guess. But it was still wild. Celtics win the game. Tatum played 26 minutes. Very light lifting for everybody. To me, perfect way to end it. Perfect way to end the season. You get your win. Guys get their run. I know a lot of people were upset that they didn't tank for the third seed, whatever, that they, hoping that they lost and they could have gotten the third seed, or it actually would have been the fourth seed because Philly won. Philly sat Embiid and sat Harden, and they beat the Detroit Pistons because the Pistons didn't really play anybody either. See, this is the thing. You can't engineer this thing. You say, we want to get into the third seed because Philly's sitting everybody, they're going to lose. No, Philly twice now has won games. They beat Miami a few weeks ago, sitting both those guys, and they beat Detroit in a situation where the Pistons were like, you know what, doesn't matter. We've done all our losing, but let's pack on one more loss. Who knows? Maybe that'll get us an extra ping pong ball. You can't engineer this stuff quite as easily as people think. But people wanted that to be the case. So I will take some time here after the break to talk about why I'm fine. I'm fine with how this went. I'm fine with playing Brooklyn in the first round. No worries. I've said this on the podcast before, but I really like their attitude. We'll talk about that in a minute. I also really like Built Bar because Built Bars are, first of all, delicious, covered in chocolate, great snack, great treat. If you're a candy bar snacker, do yourself a favor. Dump the candy bars, grab a Built Bar. Because basically in a Built Bar, you're getting 130 calories with 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, 17 grams of protein. Compare that to a candy bar that's twice as many calories, 30 grams of sugar, dozens of net carbs. Protein, what protein's in a candy bar? A couple of peanuts, whatever. Now, at the very least, if you want to place that snack with a healthy snack, you get a Built Bar. If you're going to the gym and you're lifting weights and you want a protein bar to add some fuel to your body as it's creating muscle, Built Bar, 17, 18, 19 grams of protein. I mean, there's plenty of protein in these bars and the puffs and all the other products that are in there. Go to Built.com, use the promo code LOCK15, you get 15% off your order. And that works every single time. So you don't have to stock up. You can sample, try one thing, try another, get a mixed box, whatever. Use that promo code LOCK15. Every single time you go to Built.com, you can use it and get 15% off your order. And thanks once again for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. How about making Locked On Now your second listen every day? Not only is it great recaps after games, it's this week, the next show, the one that you should be listening to after this one, has playoff predictions from all of us. So check out Locked On Now wherever you get your podcasts. It's also on the Locked On NBA YouTube feed. Now on YouTube, you see I got my V-neck shirt. I got a jacket on. I did TV earlier, and I thought, I had the jacket on with something else. I'm like, let me do more a podcast worthy attire. Just bring it down just a notch to more casual. And now I realize I might look like a Vegas pit boss or something like that, or maybe the guy who's singing in the lounge on Fremont Street. I don't know. It's an interesting look. I didn't realize exactly how that would come off on camera. All right, the Boston Celtics are gonna probably play the Brooklyn Nets. Can't say for sure because it's a play-in game, and the winner gets the 7th seed. The Celtics are 2, so they play in that 2-7 game. Again, man, it would be great karma if the Celtics got Cleveland in that first round, because so many people are like, oh my God, what are you doing? Why are you winning? If the Celtics pulled all that and then got Cleveland in the first round, would be just wonderful, because personally, I would love to throw that back at people and be like, see, like, I want this I told you so moment so bad, because it would be the best example, the absolute best example of you cannot engineer. If the Celtics had fallen down to 4th, if they lost this game today and they fell to 4th and they went to Toronto, and either this vaccination thing becomes an issue, or through their more rigid COVID testing, somebody actually tests positive and has to stay in Toronto while the rest of the series moves back to Boston, or can't go to Toronto and is out for us. Like, I don't know, that's happened to people who are asymptomatic. And because you're going to Canada, people are like, oh yeah, no, you actually have it. You got to sit. There's a lot that can go wrong. So first of all, just by virtue of just do what you got to do, handle your business, and go win your games. I believe in that theory. So I was on board with the Celtics doing this. From a competitive standpoint, I thought it was fine. And I'm going to bring up the quote. I use this on Boston Sports Journal. It's a quote from John Wooden. I love this quote. Don't worry about them. Let them worry about you. That is such a great philosophy in general. I like that philosophy because, and people say it's a winning philosophy in a lot of ways, because if you say like the Celtics did, they came out of this saying, Peyton Pritchard, we're not trying to dodge anybody. We believe in ourselves. Ime Udoka, we're not worried about the other teams or any of that. You know, that attitude, first of all, starts at the top, starts with Ime. And he's not about, well, let's try to maneuver this loss and that loss and this. And like, he took opportunities to rest guys, but it never cost him the chance at getting that second seed. He knew exactly where he needed to go with that so he could still get the second seed. And he got Al Horford to sit an extra game, and he got Jayson Tatum to sit a game, which is important. You need those two guys. That attitude of doesn't matter who we play. It doesn't. And for the Celtics, it truly, honestly, it does not matter. The number one thing that matters for the Boston Celtics is themselves doing the things that they're supposed to do. The only way the Celtics are going to beat anybody, Brooklyn, Chicago, Cleveland, if they're going to win a series against any of those guys, it's going to be because they played well, they moved the ball on offense, they played their elite defense, and they got out and pushed the pace. That's the only way they're going to win these series. They're not going to win these series based on like just Tatum carrying them, because there's just too much other stuff going on. They need to play a certain way or else they're going to lose. It's been evident all season long. Whenever they stepped away from the formula, they struggled a lot, and they more often than not lost those games. Marcus Smart said basically that exact quote, a very similar sentiment last month, I think. When you don't play the right way, you lose those games. That's who these Celtics are. So, number one, above all else, play your absolute best the way you're supposed to play. And if you're going to do that, you're fine. Because the Celtics have proven they can beat anybody playing that way. They've proven it. So Brooklyn, okay, yeah. Brooklyn's got Kevin Durant. Kyrie Irving can do some things. You know what I mean? Like I get it. Who are they stopping? Who's defending Jayson Tatum? Who's defending Jaylen Brown? Who's defending Marcus Smart? Like, even without Robert Williams, this Celtics team has the firepower to beat the Brooklyn defense. Brooklyn defense is middle of the pack at best. And they have some moments, but generally speaking, they're not going to be able to stop Jayson Tatum. Who's going to defend the rim against Tatum? No one. Against Jaylen Brown? No one. And I'm just saying this not out of any reporting that I'm doing, but I have a feeling that Robert Williams will be back for the first round. I just feel like the Celtics have been saying that things have gone great, and hopefully we see him sooner rather than later. And Ime's like, well, we're not ruling him out of the first round because we don't know, but we're approaching it as if he's not going to be there. Okay. They've left every single door open for Rob to come back. Everything everybody is saying is about Rob coming back sooner than the 4 weeks. If he comes back before the 4 weeks, if he comes back in 3, he can make it for the first round. I mean, some guys come back quickly from this particular type of meniscus injury. It's true. Some guys come back quickly, more quickly than expected. You put out 4 to 6 weeks, and everybody's like, okay, I'm going to wrap my head around 4 to 6 weeks. But if he comes back before that, then you add another element to that series. It's almost like, I don't know, it's almost like making a trade in the middle of the series. You get a Robert Williams in the middle of it. Either way, I think the Celtics have what they need to defend Durant and to defend Kyrie, and they're going to attack Kyrie Irving like crazy on defense. And look, Kyrie and KD have been playing like 40 minutes a game, just trying to get the Brooklyn Nets into the 7th seed in the play-in, and they barely made it. They're 12-8 since the beginning of March. And so there's obviously Kevin Durant makes people afraid, but there's a whole team out there. And Kevin Durant can only do so much. Even if it's 50 points, then you better be getting 100 more from everybody else, because the Celtics might put up 150 on that defense. We'll get into this a whole lot more. I loved Boston's attitude coming out of this. And like I said, it starts at the top with Ime Udoka and it trickles down. I'll get into Ime Udoka and his coaching and an appreciation of a 51-win season for a rookie head coach. That is coming up next. First, BetOnline, I wish there was a line that I could have bet on for Ime getting to 51 wins in January. I mean, if there were odds on that, that would be somebody would have made a whole lot of money. BetOnline.net is your number one source for all your betting stats and sports info. You get the latest developments, league reviews, news, including the playoffs here, and Major League Baseball has begun. Major League Baseball is here. They're playing real baseball. So you can bet on that as well at BetOnline. There's live betting. There's esports. There your favorite Vegas casino games. It's all right there. So head on over to the website. You can use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and the action. BetOnline, where the game starts. Please gamble responsibly. I love that Ime Udoka kind of just went in and said, doesn't matter who we play, follow my lead. I believe in you guys. You believe in you guys. We're going to play our best and we're going to face who we face. And that is it. And that's the attitude they've adopted. When I asked Al Horford after the game, if the team was sending a message by saying, we're getting this 2nd seed, when other teams are kind of like, nope, we're good with 3 and 4. He said, I think so. I think it's pretty clear. We obviously understand what's ahead, but it's about us and putting ourselves in the best position that we feel like we can be. And we're ready, man. We're ready to go. That's Al Horford after the game. Ime Udoka came into Boston, changed how they play defense, changed how they play offense, mainly because he got guys to grow their games, including Jayson Tatum, who hasn't really grown his game a lot or had not up over the last couple of seasons. I mean, he's gotten better at the things that he had done, but Ime comes in and gets him to grow his game and gets other guys to grow their game. Ime comes in, changes the defense, the offense, the star players. He gets buy-in from the role players, and he goes from 18-21 to 51-31. That is a tremendous accomplishment. What's that? 33-10 since those back-to-back losses, where the one after New York, where was it RJ Barrett hit the buzzer beater. That's significant. That's a long stretch. That's more of the season than the struggles, right? Like, because they had the struggles first, everybody's like, well, there's a little bit of trepidation in there in our assessments, or, not for everybody, but the Celtics good part of the season has lasted longer than the bad part of the season. Ime stepping in, getting 51 wins as a rookie head coach, putting together his staff and getting just about everybody that he wanted, reaching these guys, turning around a season that looked like it was starting to really kind of implode under its own weight. People screaming about fire Ime already. People at the beginning of the season screaming fire Ime. And here we are, 51 wins. I mean, he shut a lot of people up, and it's been an amazing job. I think he really has done a great job of doing the important things that NBA coaches do, especially. And he makes this point a lot. A lot of people know X's and O's, right? You can go up and down the league and find people that know plays and know concepts and can show and teach those things. But who can connect with his team and who can get these guys to do things together, especially, if the situation isn't entirely perfect or you've gone through some level of adversity? How can you make all that happen? For Ime Udoka to get to the 51 wins, it's just, I couldn't be more impressed. I couldn't be more impressed because of the way it all happened. It's so obviously his coaching that's at the heart of all of this. I was on Locked On NBA, and I described it as Ime Udoka is the sun, and all of the other storylines from the season revolve around him like planets. And I think that's a fair assessment because Ime's coaching has touched so much of what these guys are doing, moving Marcus Smart into that full-time primary ball handler point guard role. That's really done a lot for him. Getting Tatum and Brown to become better passers, better playmakers. Going with Al Horford at the beginning when it was like, really? I thought he was going to come off the bench. Changing how you use Robert Williams. Just getting guys to stay with it who are on the bench. Ime has done one really tremendous coaching. Like, sometimes you ever meet somebody that they're new to the job and you're like, it looks like you've been doing this for 10 years. That's Ime. Like, I can't believe that Ime is a rookie head coach anymore. I almost feel like Ime's been coaching for years now. Maybe that's just how long the season has felt, but it feels like Ime's been around for a long time. It's just a great job, and I don't know what's going to happen in the playoffs. He could lose something, he could not adjust well, or he could be just great and make a deep run. I don't know how this is going to go, but however it goes, if it goes poorly, I have confidence that he'll turn it around next time. If it goes great, I have confidence that he's not going to let it get to his head. And he's going to continue doing what he does and coaching the way he coaches. I never thought Brad Stevens was the problem, but it's obvious that Brad wanted a new opportunity, and it is obvious that the team needed a little extra push. I think Brad could have still gotten this team to succeed, but there's no arguing with the success from Ime Udoka. And, he's earned significant coach of the year votes. I hope he gets, I get Monty Williams will get the award probably, but man, Ime Udoka definitely deserves some real strong consideration. All right. That's the podcast. All week long, we'll have a podcast for you. The Celtics game 1 is next Sunday. So I normally record my Monday podcast on Sundays like this. So same thing. But if the game is on a Friday or a Saturday, I don't normally do podcasts over the weekend I do my podcast the night before, so you have it ready for your morning commute. But if there's a Friday or Saturday game, I will podcast after that. You will get bonus coverage. So make sure you are subscribed to wherever you get your podcast, and take it with you in the car. It'd be great. Or watch the show on YouTube. You see my Vegas kind of like, I don't know what I'd be, but it's a thing. It's a look. You can see it on YouTube. Hoping to get to that 5,000 subscriber mark, but past it. So wherever we get to, 6,000, 10,000, set a goal for 10,000. Get through that by the end of next season. Why not? A year from now, 10,000, maybe more. I can do it with your help by sharing the podcast, telling everybody that they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast right here on the Locked On Podcast Network.